Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, get put through an experience unlike any other. Brought to you, of course, by Animo We Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Welcome, everybody, and we are here with SmackDown. SmackDown happened tonight on April 11th. It was a show. Um, I'm gonna. It's gonna be a bit of a struggle talking about some things tonight because, oh boy, there were some questionable things happening tonight, and we've got to eventually have this talk about the build to WrestleMania because oh my goodness, has it just kind of been plodding forward? Has it just been just very slow, very like not even methodical in like any sense of the word? It's been a rough ride for WrestleMania 41. And I mean, I understand some things have been out of WWE's control, like injuries and all that, or maybe plans falling through. But yeah, it's just a lot of questions on why certain things are the way they are. But we're here to talk about all that, and hopefully, you guys are here to not only listen to us a little bit, but give your own thoughts and opinions. Because hey, we'll we'll look at the chat, we'll check it out, see what everybody's talking about, and have a good old conversation. But of course, welcome back to all of our returning viewers and listeners and watchers and viewers and everything. Uh, Glad to have you guys back as always. But if you're new here, well, again, we are the Weaves of the Ring. I am your world champion, Watkins, here to help guide us through this SmackDown beatdown lowdown that was our Friday night hoedown that we do every single week, and I'm never alone in this endeavor. I have some lovely co-hosts. Unfortunately, Vash, the visionary, the revolutionary, he is not here tonight. He's enjoying the fact that The Rock has his soul, and he's just loving the life that The Rock has given him for all all the soul stealing he's gotten. But of course, to my left, we have the man who helps us process all these stories going forward, maybe make some sense of everything going on. He is known, of course, as the genius of the mat. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Drop This Box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, and like you said, this definitely was an episode of SmackDown because even I found myself struggling to get through the show because this has been a common trend ever since they translated to 3 hours. Keep in mind, we've had some shows, and I say that lightly, that was able to follow the 3 hour format and was actually able to deliver a pretty good show within those 3 hours when it came to the sort of content that was put into it. But it just seems like it's a common theme, and it's not just us, it's with a lot of people. Because if it's just one
Yeah.
person, you could easily just look past it, but it's just a topic of conversation when it comes to a lot of people when it comes to this WrestleMania build. Because it isn't one of those things where it's like we're watching the product and we're not going to tune in to watch WrestleMania, because of course we are, because at the end of the day, we love WWE. We're obviously going to check out all the
Yeah.
big PLEs to see what transpires throughout those events. But I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to feel indifferent when it comes to certain builds leading up to the event. It's no different when you're watching a movie, you're reading a book, you're playing a video
Mhm.
game, whatever the case may be. You tend to have that sort of thought process when you start to dive into that sort of things. Like, one of the things
Yeah.
that I love is the narrative when it comes to things I invest myself into. I want to know, okay, why do these two guys fighting? What's the story behind this, everything, etc., so on. It doesn't have to be super complicated when it comes to all of these builds, but I want to know exactly what's going on. And sometimes you get your highs,
Mhm.
sometimes you get your lows, and I'm not expecting everything to be perfect. But like you said,
Yeah.
definitely things that we're gonna have to work through with our coverage of the show tonight when it comes to like fully digesting everything that's going on.
Yeah, because it again, it things just feel so weird, and again, it's I don't think a lot of it has to do with because there are some circumstances going on, like Kevin Owens' injury and surgery, for example. Like we can't really fault anything with WWE for that. They're gonna have to do what they can
Yeah,
with that. It's just the crux of it all is the fact that, and a lot of people they won't lead with this either. It's the fact that we know WWE can do better.
yeah,
It's just for some reason they're not. And that's the frustrating part because like they have such a great pool of talent, and the talent can pull off some amazing things, whether that's mic work, in-ring work, whatever have you. They can pull off amazing stuff, and yet there's something going on. There's something in the air that just like some of it is being held back, I feel like. And I mean, I said this before we went live, like there was a certain moment tonight that kind of made me believe in a superstar again. Like made me believe that they actually wanted to be part of a story for the first time in their entire build for it. So it's just like we know you could do better, just be better
hmm
and all that. Like it shouldn't be that hard. It really shouldn't. But we I mean, let's I guess just go into it all. I mean, our headline story, if you want to call it that, it's really just our main event segment and how that got set up. Randy Orton comes out tonight to kind of start the night talking with Nick Aldis about what happened last week and all that. Kind of talk about, I'm not gonna fine you because hey, you already paid it, blah blah, all that stuff. Orton basically just he wants a Mania match now that Kevin's gone, which obviously rightfully so. I have to do some fact checking to see if this actually is Orton's 20th WrestleMania, because that's kind of crazy if it is. Um, yeah, that again, that's just crazy if it is. But yeah, he wants a match. He even like dares Nick Aldis to get some ring gear on, and even threatens the fact that like, hey, you do something to piss me off again, Mickey James isn't gonna be happy with what I do. Which okay, let's throw Mickey James under the bus with this too. I mean, it'll at least build to something for Nick Aldis if that is the route they're going with. But I don't think that's gonna be the route they go with because out comes Solo and Tama Tonga to kind of confront Orton, and I don't know if we're gonna get a match with them at Mania where it's Solo versus Orton. I would rather not. I don't think their styles will really mesh together, but hey, at least for tonight, we'll get a tag match set up with them against Randy Orton and LA Knight. Why? Well, I mean, LA Knight's got to face Jacob Fatu next week. We got to build that up without having a match with Jacob, but Jacob could get a post match beatdown. That's fine and all that. Um, I guess what do you think of this opening segment? Because I mean, again, we're playing off of what happened last week. We're kind of playing the crowd too, because like a lot of people do want Nick Aldis to get in the ring, sooner rather than later with WWE.
Mhm.
But especially like against Orton, I mean that could be something. I mean, there's some sort of history there. We had some sort of like build up story now with it, with like the two RKO's, with all this saying, "Hey, I need you to respect me," and all that. Like they were starting to build something a little bit. It just doesn't seem like that's where we're going, and now it's going to look like Solo's going to be the one getting his head kicked in at Mania. But again, Drop, what do you think of this opening segment and how it kind of just again tied into our main event tag match? Play, holla, holla.
So pretty much with this opening segment itself, like obviously this is one of the things that I was interested to see what was going to transpire in tonight's show after what happened last week. Because the main talking point over the weekend and leading up to SmackDown is, okay, who is Randy Orton going to face? Is he going to factor into something else? Is he going to have a WrestleMania opponent when it comes to, just throwing out names that people were discussing within the week? People were saying maybe Aleister Black, maybe Miro, maybe Karrion Kross. People are just throwing random names out there. And the one that made the most sense to me, given the history between the both of them, would be Nick Aldis. And I feel like that's still the direction, because I felt like what Randy did when he was talking about, oh, why don't you lacing up your boots again? I feel like one of the reasons why that line was mentioned is to get the reaction from the crowd, to see if they actually cared to see that match or not. And it got a pop when Randy Orton mentioned that. So it could easily be one of those things where it's like, okay, we hear the audience, they like the sound of that. Maybe we could do something with it when we get that official confirmation next week, because they still didn't announce who Randy Orton is gonna face at WrestleMania tonight, because you would have saw a graphic pop up online after the show. I mean, I just saw the graphic pop up for the tag match with the ladies, so you would have easily seen something where it's like, okay, Randy Orton is set to face Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania. But that hasn't happened yet. So I'm still sticking with it being Nick Aldis because of that whole line where it was like teasing with the crowd to get the reaction, because you kind of have to test the waters instead of just doing something and, just doing it. You kind of have to see, do they care or not? Okay, they care. Let's see what we could come up with within the week leading into the show, because I feel like that moment itself, if Nick Aldis makes his in-ring debut in WWE, would be special, especially if it's at WrestleMania. That's the first time he's an in-ring competitor against another athlete. So the fact that that first time is happening at a WrestleMania would be a very memorable experience. And when it just go to show, what Nick Aldis is capable of. Because I've seen Nick Aldis. He's a really great wrestler. He did a lot of good things in NWA and TNA. And the people within WWE hasn't seen what he's capable of. And he obviously takes care of himself. You could easily see just by the suits he wears, he's a pretty big guy. So it's not like he's like a slouch or anything and he's just chilling in the back doing nothing. Like, he probably, one of the main reasons why he got that injury to begin with a little while ago is because of when he was working out, he ended up pulling something when it came to that injury that he had. And it seems like everything's fine now, which is good. So because that was a while. So I'm still thinking it's that. The whole entire thing when it came to like Solo coming out, I mean, I will admit that's what I thought it was leading into. But again, I kind of felt like this was just something just to put Solo Sikoa in the show. Like, it didn't really make any sense for him to really get involved with Randy Orton at all in the slightest, because the real beef right now is just LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. And obviously we saw that showcase towards the end of the match to close off SmackDown. But it's like Solo Sikoa isn't really doing anything. And I feel like they know, because they're not stupid. And I feel like they know
Oh yeah.
the audience is, speaking online where they're like, okay, they're do Randy and Solo. Like, I feel like they don't always want to go down the predictable route with that, because I feel like what makes sense is you got to have Solo factor into something happening with Jacob at Mania, because that's the kind of story that they're really telling with the both of those guys. So maybe something happens within that match that really takes their feud to the next level, or at least has Solo looking at him in a different way rather than how Jacob is, because Jacob at this point doesn't really give a shit about him. So I just feel like Solo's focus should just be on him, just honestly, even if nothing happens, just be there to support him and everything. Like, don't do like any hit his shit trying to fuck him over or whatever. Like, just focus on what's going on here.
We don't need that.
Let Randy do his own thing. So it's like the match itself, like, I'll be 100% honest, it didn't really do anything to me. Like, I really wasn't like super invested in the match. Like, do I like Randy? Do I like LA Knight and Solo and all of them? Sure. But it's like, it wasn't like anything that really popped out at me where it's like, oh my God, this is crazy, because I've seen Randy and LA team up before against these guys. So it's not like it's the first time ever that we're getting a match like this where it's like LA Knight and Randy Orton against Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga, because we saw a lot of this happening when they were teaming up before LA Knight and all of them had that fatal four-way at that Royal Rumble last year. And this is what was going on around the time when it came to them butting heads with the Bloodline. So it's like, I don't know, it didn't really do anything to me. Like, even with the beatdown and everything, like, cool, seeing what Jacob did to, have that momentum, seeing that image of him holding the title and everything, like, sure, that's cool and all to really add a little something to their feud, to like give it a little flair before we see what the last thing's gonna be once we end off SmackDown next week. But it's like, other than that though, it's like, okay, you got these guys here. I mean, I don't really know what else to say beyond that. It's just one of those things where like we see it so much, it's really hard to critique it in a way, because it's like always the same thing happening. It's very rare where it's like something different happening.
Yeah. Like that's the thing about like these kind of tag team matches, like, because they're different than like tag team division matches, because like tag team division matches, they have a point to them. It's like, okay, they're trying to get up in the division, or they're trying to like get one over on the champions, or it's actually a championship match. Like there's at least something to go with like a tag team division match. Whereas a tag team match like this, it's literally just like, okay, well, we got to throw our two baby faces together against these heels that might either be aligned or might not be aligned. Who knows? I don't know. It could be either one. But it's like they just end up the same way. They're just structured the same way, and it's only just to get to whatever the ending sequence or the end of the match is going to be, whether it's like, oh, this one person betrays the other, or just the post-match beatdown like we got tonight. But the other reason I kind of lean towards the possibility of Randy versus Solo again is just how this match kind of ended, because like when LA Knight gets the hot tag and all that, Randy and Solo just kind of fuck off. Like they just kind of beat each other up and go to the back, and I'm just like, okay. And commentary keeps kind of putting up, like, there was a line I think Wade Barrett had mentioned, like, oh, this thing has this anger has boiled over to a boiling point, blah blah blah, like using buzzwords like that and all that, and I'm like, oh, this might be the replacement Mania match, and I'm like, I could somewhat understand because there's some history between the
I don't know.
two. At least when it comes to like War Games, but that was also like almost a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. Uh, okay, fine. I mean, again, it gets Solo on the card for Mania. That's something. But I don't think their styles will really mesh well either. Because again, with Orton being like the slow, methodical type, and Solo trying to be the slow, methodical type. He's more of like, I guess, the slow like brutalizer type, if that makes sense. But I mean, I'm not really excited to see it. If
No,
I'm
I'm
being
not.
honest.
I'm not either, because even if that is the case, you're kind of like beating a dead horse at this point, because we've seen it so much. Like it's probably in the double digits by now. when it comes to the amount of times that we've seen these two go at each other's throats.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why I'm hoping, because like you mentioned something earlier where it's like we know that they can do better, they're just not doing it. So the fact if they would come up with something like that, even if it is to get Solo on the card, we know in the back of their heads that they have more of a they're a lot more creative than that, because you know for a fact that they're not just stuck on one thing. Like they obviously know they're gonna have situations that come up. Let's say hypothetically something comes up. What's our backup plan? Because they run. This is like a weekly episodic television show, so they always have to have a plan A, plan B, C, etc., so on, just in case hypothetically, knock on wood, someone gets injured or something happens and we gotta head down a different direction. Like I would hope that they would be a little bit more creative than that. That's why I said earlier, I was like, if you want to give Solo something instead of just throwing him something in there, just do it with Jacob Fatu, because it's like he already had something going on with him. The Randy Orton stuff, they couldn't really do anything about that because that just it happened with Owens and he has to go away for surgery and everything. So it's not like they so it's not like they had this like planned out to like map this way. Solo already had a path, so he even I don't want to see it, but even hypothetically, if he fucked over Jacob, at least that would make somewhat sense. Even though we don't want to see it, at least it would make somewhat sense if you would put Solo in a situation compared to this. It's mainly just me coming out where I don't want to see it again because we've seen it so much. That's my biggest gripe. If we haven't seen it before, or if it was like a 2 or 3 week pause, 2 or 3 year pause, we haven't seen it, it would be a different story. But like one of the main criticism was just like the ongoing beef, where it's like Cody. It was like the same thing when like all these guys were on Monday Night Raw, always feuding with the Judgment Day every single week. And then the main criticism with Cody always getting involved with the bloodline, and then you got Randy factored into that, and then you got KO factored into that. I mean, this is stemming actually all the way until Backlash last year when it comes to like a lot of the stuff that's going on with those guys. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I just again, I don't know either. It's so weird how we just keep going down these wells and all that. And I mean, hell, at least Jacob Fatu looked strong, standing tall tonight. And I appreciate this little aspect too, because like there's this whole thing of like, oh, don't touch the title before you actually go for it or win it, blah blah blah, all that. But like I like how Jacob at least picked it up. He did a little taunt with it, but then he like threw it down immediately. Like he didn't like taunt to the crowd with it. He just kind of held it, licked it, threw it down, and then just did another moonsault onto LA Knight. Like that was cool. At least Jacob Fatu understands that aspect of it. But man, I swear he better go over at Mania. Like as much as I love LA Knight, this is Jacob Fatu's time right now. Like LA Knight, he's had his time. It's time for him to also maybe go towards Raw and maybe go into the world title picture there.
Yeah,
but it's Jacob Fatu's time. Strap the belt on him. Just launch him, award him for like the good work that he puts in, because the man can go. You just gotta let him run free and all that. Let him run wild a little bit, and you'll see. You'll have your money. I can guarantee you that people will pay the exorbitant amount of prices that you have for your tickets for your shows. Like people will pay that money if you give it to people like Jacob Fatu. So,
and that's somebody that could easily give that title like a good reign too, because you put it on him. Not saying that LA isn't doing it, but you put it on him. You already have instant credibility right there, just based off of his work ethic.
Yeah,
he's a believable champion.
That's for any title too.
Yeah, I get that, but it's like it comes with certain people where you believe in them. He's one of those people you can believe in.
Yeah, Well, yeah, and well, yeah, that's exactly what I meant with it. It's
Yeah.
just like, Jacob Fatu getting the title,
Yeah.
yes, great. He should have a title like that. Or like
Yeah.
when you look at the IC title on the other end of it, like,
Yeah.
okay, even if Dom wins that title, that's at least some level of it because like he is a character.
Yeah.
He is somebody that like whether he has good or bad heat, he has heat. Like he has momentum behind him
Yeah.
whether he's a face or a heel. Right now he's a heel, obviously, but like he's getting fan reactions, like big fan
Yeah.
reactions,
They
and it's
care.
never like go away heat. It's just you're a heel, we don't like you because you're a heel kind of heat. Which, yeah, give somebody who's doing just award good work, you
Yeah.
know? And I mean, Jacob Fatu does do good work when you just let him go at it. And yeah, just let him go at it at Mania. Just let him just go balls to the wall with it all, and reward him for that because he's earned it. He's earned it this past year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to harp on with this segment because again, it's just uh, it just was what it was, I guess. But we'll move on to our WWE title picture. We had Cody Rhodes out here because again, he has to push the story with him and John Cena because John can't show up for work because he's part time and going on his uh, I almost said revenge tour. I mean, in a way, it's a revenge tour, but it's a retirement tour nonetheless. But Cody's out there with like every iteration of the WWE title, and he's basically here talking about basically what we know this story to be, where Cody's trying to protect the future of the company by keeping the present as is and keeping the past not only where it is, but like honoring the past, I guess it is. And like he mentions Undertaker, he mentions Eddie, he does recognize Cena with the spinner belt and all that. Bruno Sammartino, like he's mentioning these people during this segment. And I mean, I was telling Drop before this too, like before we press live, like this was a good segment. Like performance wise, this was a great segment by Cody, where he's again just spouting all this stuff about the titles and how it's up to him to protect the legacy and that how the title is going to stay home and it's going to stay with us, not with Cena leaving us and all that. But as well performed as this was, and as much as Cody can really make you care about something, the overall just like message and substance of this is shit we've already known. Is shit we've already kind of like talked about and gone through where it's like, okay, Cody's protecting the future and like he's honoring the past and all that stuff. Like he has to do this in order to protect the soul of the WWE, if you will. Um yeah, I mean, it was fine. I do like the line he did say where he's like, "Okay, I am, even though I'm the captain of the WWE right now, like the captain of this team, I'm the captain of people like CM Punk, Seth Rollins, uh Rhea, I know he mentioned. He mentioned Liv, which I am happy he did because she's also somebody that's put in some really good work the past year. Um but yeah, so I do like that aspect of it where it's like, yeah, I'm the captain, I'm the leader of these really great talents right now. And the fact that I'm the leader of this generation of the WWE. Whereas, you look at John when he was the quote unquote leader of it. And I mean, there were some questionable talents nonetheless with that. But I mean, he also had people like Shawn Michaels and Triple H underneath them and all that. Um, yeah, I mean, again, great talk promo segment. It's just to me, it just felt like it was stuff we already kind of knew and kind of felt going into Mania. But yeah, what do you think of this big segment with all the title belts and all that?
So it's like I understood the whole entire message behind this because pretty much like the whole premise of this story of Cody Rhodes and John Cena is that John Cena wants to win 17. Because at first, when he came out in the Raw premiere, he was saying how, you know what, I'll do my thing. If I win it, I win it. If I don't, I don't. It doesn't really matter. And obviously, when you look at what happened in that Royal Rumble, it was leading into this whole entire thing where he says, okay, I want to do what's best for business. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's more of a selfish reason now. So now he's going to go full throttle with this, win 17, not give a shit what people think, take the title, leave the company with it, and so be it. So Cody's coming out here explaining the legacy behind all these titles, talking about a lot of these people that put in, a strong work ethic. And Eddie was one of those people that he mentioned, obviously referencing, the feud that he had with, it was Eddie and Brock all those years ago. I believe that was back in like 2004 when that happened.
Mm.
So it's like, pretty much just telling the story behind, each title belt over the years, which was nice because it's always good to like throw in that lore when it comes to the history behind all these belts and what they represented around that time when it came to that era. Because not every world championship had the same design. You look at like the old school belts, you look at stuff that happened in like, the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, etc. So on. We've had a whole bunch of different title designs over the years. So I did like that little history lesson that we have. I thought it was cool. But my main issue when it comes to a lot of this stuff with Cody Rhodes, and I understand in a way it kind of fits in with the whole gimmick of selling your soul out, showing up whenever you want or whatever. My biggest issue, and this isn't just like a Cody and John thing, this is the thing I had issues with when Cody was feuding with Brock and when Cody was feuding with Roman, when you only have these people show up whenever. And I get it. Special attraction. Want them to appear there every so often. Cody's a special attraction. He's there practically every single week. Not saying that, things come up from other people and they can't make it. Whatever. But it's like, my main issue is the fact that he always has to carry these feuds. And you only really see them evolve until the next chapter when person A and person B is involved in the same ring. If it's just Cody, he's trying to do something like he did tonight to extend the feud and his image the way that they want him to go out there and do, even though it's things we already know that was brought up in other promos. So it's kind of like, I feel bad for him in a way when it comes to like the sort of creative direction where it's like you mentioned before, it's like, we already know about this. Why are we hearing about it again? And it just sucks because it's like, I just wish there was, I kind of like, if John has a specific schedule he needs to follow, that's fine. But one of the things that I would have looked into is since he did announce his retirement tour last year, I was kind of hoping he had it where it was like select dates where he had to push certain projects on hold, like when it comes to the WrestleMania season, at least be there for like a good bit. And then if you want to space things out a little bit afterwards, that's fine. But it's literally like ever since that Elimination Chamber show, it's like 3 appearances ever since then. And you see Cody come out every week trying to carry the feud until John gets back. And then we see him in next week's show, obviously, because they're in the same area as WrestleMania. So it'd be kind of silly if he wasn't there. So that's that one final confrontation with Cody Rhodes before their match on WrestleMania Sunday to see who comes out on top. Does Cody retain? Does John, take the belt and continue this whole entire thing that he's going on right now? And I'm going to come out and say this, like, I think this is one of the main reasons why I would kind of hold off a little bit on the whole John winning 17 thing, because I feel like I'm going to stick to my guns, what I said earlier this year. I feel like it's too soon to do it. And you could say, WrestleMania is always a time to make memories and stuff like that. Sure, that's fine. Understandable. You can create an argument for that. But I'd rather him win when his schedule is a little bit more available, where it's like, okay, he wins the title. He's there throughout that rest of the year and everything. And then it comes to a point where, he drops it to someone or whatever. I don't want it to be like that now, because the only time he's really there after WrestleMania is that Monday Night Raw, that SmackDown, I believe, and then the next time you see him is Backlash. That's how it's like really structured, and I don't know, it just doesn't really mix well with me when it comes to that, because now we're gonna run into a situation where if Cody hypothetically loses, because I'm not saying he's gonna lose, because it could go 50-50 if I'm being 100% honest. Cody could retain, Cena could win. But now you're going to have to lean into something. And I'm going to throw Randy Orton in here because you have that show at Backlash. It's in his hometown. And obviously they're going to center it around Randy Orton, just like how they went when they did Bash at Berlin last year. They centered it around Gunther. They had Gunther close out the show. That's Randy's show.
Yeah.
And you would think when Randy comes out of Mania, he's going to get a win that's going to carry that momentum. And what is Randy going to want? He's going to want a title match. So if John's the champion, are we going to run into another scenario with Randy carrying the feud until John gets back? He meets John that SmackDown, and then he's going to carry it throughout the week until that show at Backlash or whatever. Like, I don't know, man. I honestly thought this whole retirement tour schedule was going to be a lot different than what we were getting. And that could just be me being a little bit greedy or whatever. But it's like, I kind of wish it was structured a way where it made sense. And if he wasn't there, it made sense. And if he was there, it made sense on that end. That's my whole feel on it, really. It's just...
Yeah.
Mainly Cody having feuds with people that aren't always on the show. I had the same thing with the Brock thing after 39, and then the whole Roman thing, which was fine because you had Rock there, so you could kind of work past it a little bit, because if I'm being honest, it was pretty much Cody Rock that entire feud. Rock was doing those segments online, and then they were bleeding into it on those shows, and Rock was actually showing up more than Roman. It's almost like you should have handed the belt to Rock in that sense, because he was pretty much the main villain in that whole entire feud. It's kind of like, why isn't Cody Rock closing out 40, if that makes any sense? Because that's practically what it was centered around that time, outside of like what we knew of Cody and Roman at that time. Obviously, you know, the way they did it made sense at the end of the day, but it's like, at least you were able to work past that. But I don't know, you remember the stuff with Brock, like how hard that was?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I remember the Monday Night Raw we had where The Rock just showed up out of nowhere, and we got the Mama Rhodes beat down and all that. Like we haven't even had that segment.
No,
like,
nothing
anything
intense,
remotely close to a segment like that, and not even just with like Cody's feud, but like even with anything else. Because I've said this before too, I think, on this show at least, that even the undercard from WrestleMania 40 had a lot better build than some of the undercard of WrestleMania 41. And like I feel like there's a story to be told here with like what's been going on with like WWE with like the TKO merger, or even going on to Netflix. Like, as much as they want to say, oh yeah, Netflix doesn't really change much of anything, or oh, TKO hasn't really changed, but it kind of has. Like, it kind of has. There's been some major differences and some major things that aren't being pushed or aren't being showcased on your weekly product that probably should or could. I mean, do we need to have the conversation about the tag teams again? Like, not to change subjects during the Cody talk, but like, do we need to? Because we probably are going to have that talk again when it comes to next week's talk about the WrestleMania build with everything. But like, yeah, it just, and I think part of me gets it too, though, because like the WrestleMania crowd, it's very casual. It's filled with a lot of casual fans. So I get like, oh, we have to kind of educate the fans, to let like the casual fans, to let them know, hey, this is what's going on, blah blah blah. But like, you're also in a way kind of treating your hardcore fan base, the ones that have been with you even in the darkest of times. You're kind of going back into that mindset of kind of treating them like they're stupid at certain points. And it's like, yeah, we get it. We understand that Cody has to basically defend WWE right here.
Yeah.
We get it. But at least again, I can applaud them for at least doing it in a different way.
Yeah.
It's just again like the overall message with it, the overall like just like yeah, just it's just the overall message with it. It's just like we get that. I understand that. Like yeah, you're at you're throwing in the history with it, but I don't know, man. It's again, it might just be something for the casual fans to be like, "Oh yeah, now I get it." It's like, "Okay, now you get it." As some of us who have lived through some of that history, we already got it, but yeah, I mean the thing with like John's schedule with his retirement tour and all that. I mean, I kind of agree with you too. I think we kind of set a lot of expectations for what his retirement tour was even gonna look like. Like, I think a lot of people thought he was gonna be wrestling every single time
Yeah.
he was on TV. Which, I mean, first of all, if you thought that was gonna happen, hate to break it to you, buddy,
Yeah.
but John's not in that kind of shape,
Yeah. That part
and
I
this is
didn't
kind of a
expect.
business where,
In-ring segments, I
yeah,
expected the most out of that. Maybe a match,
yeah,
maybe once or twice a month, whatever. But it's like I
mhm,
expected him to be, especially with Cody. Like what I was originally expecting with this is like after the match at Elimination Chamber, I was expecting to see these guys go head to head in promos, maybe knock each other in the back of the head every so often with like a brawl or two. But it would mainly come together once they have the match at Mania. I just feel like those weeks that he wasn't there, he could have done a lot more and get us really invested. Uh, Not saying I'm not going to watch the match because I am, and it's a big money match because you got the number one guy in the company against the guy that carried the company um around like the ruthless aggression era. Like it was pretty much his kingdom
yeah,
around that time. So it's like it's a big money match, but it just feels off because you kind of expect
yeah,
like a little more out of this.
yeah. And I mean, I also get it too. Like, oh, the live crowds is really where the WWE hears their critiques and all that stuff. It's like, I get that aspect too. I really fully understand that
Yeah.
aspect. But you also got to kind of think of your TV audience, like the
Yeah.
people that are watching at home and the
Hmm.
ones who, consume your product on the weekly or, for some daily basis. You kind of got to think about them too and realize, like, just have that self awareness and know that you got to find some sort of happy middle ground between the two. Because that's the thing. You're never going to make everyone happy. There's always going to be the people that are going to hate something that you did. Okay, cool, great. But at least like 80% of people liked it. That's fine with this thing.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that, like, right now, at least when it comes to conversating about this WrestleMania build, there's a lot of people that are negative with it, and then the ones that are positive about it, it doesn't seem like they even wanna talk about some criticisms with it, which
No.
is also kinda terrifying when you think about, like, media and all that, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I just maybe next week. The other thought I had tonight, because I hadn't thought this in almost a year, I guess, or for a while now. Because remember, I always had this thing where it was like the week before a freaking pay per view or PLE, both Raw and SmackDown will be kind of ass until like the go home weeks when both shows kind of picked up the pieces from it.
Yeah.
I kinda got that feeling again with this SmackDown. I'm just like, okay, this I mean, almost in a way feels like a filler episode.
Yeah, it really did,
Like
honestly.
I mean, some storyline stuff did happen and progress, but, like, not to the extent you would think.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Just I mean, it is what it is, I guess, but it's again, I'm not gonna say it's ass because, like,
No.
there are some good things from it, but it's just like you could be doing better. You really could be doing better, and that's the worst part is we know you can. But I mean, that's all we got with our WWE title picture. Probably not gonna be mentioning anything about like our other main event with like CM Punk, Rollins, and Reigns because it was really just a couple reminders of what happened not only last week on SmackDown, but on Raw this past week with the whole Heyman stuff. So if if any more gets built from that on Monday, we'll probably touch on it. But that was announced for night one's main event, which we also got night one and night two's events told to us, but we'll run that we'll run down the card at a later date. Let's talk about our mid card stories because there was a few things that happened tonight. One of them mainly being a gauntlet match to decide the number one contenders for the women's tag titles. We had about what, like five? Yeah, like one, two, three, four, five. We had six teams take part in this. About five of those teams are somewhat pre-established teams. Okay, wait. About three of the teams have been pre-established.
Yep.
Three or four. One of them had their first match as a team, kind of, in Natty and Maxine Dupree. All right, cool, neat. Kind of the same with BFAB and Michin, but at least we've seen that they have been friends on screen and all that. Whereas with Maxine and Natty, like we've seen them in the back talking, and then I think it was like last week or this past week, one of them talked to the GMs. It was like, hey, we have an idea. We want to be part of the tag division and all that stuff. This sucked. This absolutely just kind of sucked. At least until like the last match of it. So here's the thing. Like we've talked about how disappointing it kind of is with having Lyra and Bailey together because they're just a thrown together tag team. You know, again, at least Natty and Maxine had some sort of build up, even though it was almost a nothing build up. They at least had something beyond just, hey, let's have our IC champion and one of our biggest female one of our biggest female stars just randomly team up because, hey, we need the women's titles or the women's tag titles on the main show. Okay, couldn't just do, one of your newly crowned women's mid card titles in a showcase at Mania? You couldn't just do that or anything different. I don't know. Like Lyra versus Bailey was right there for Mania.
Yeah.
We can't do that. We have to have everything else on there. So like, okay, this match starts with like Lyra and Bailey. They literally went coast to coast for this. That's one thing that's just kind of crazy. They ran through almost the entire women's tag team division. Like they just ran through them. And you're gonna expect me to believe that not only will they win the titles at WrestleMania, which that's a possibility, but because they've ran through the women's division in the tag teams, nobody's going to be able to beat them, especially how they beat these teams. Like, okay, first match was against Shayna and Zoe Stark. This is their first match in months that I can remember. That's been on TV. That's been televised. Like, and these two can be pretty good. There was a little bit of like wrestling, like actual legit wrestling with Bailey and Shayna in the beginning, which okay, fine, cool, neat. But it ends very quickly with Lyra doing the same roll up she did on Bailey on Monday. That just ends the match. Okay, cool. Out come Natty and Maxine next, and probably the most dumbest spot, the most idiotic spot, where Maxine goes for a sharpshooter, and Natty's just like, no, don't do that, tag me in. And then Natty just stands there on the apron, watches as Maxine gets rolled up, and they lose the match. They get eliminated from it. And I'm sitting here thinking, Natty, why the hell did you not go in and save your team? Why'd you just stand there and be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have done that. Hoop derp derp derp. No, you go in there and actually like freaking try to win so you can be on the biggest card of the year, get that paycheck, and possibly get a shot at the women's tag team titles. But no, let's just, lose to roll up while I watch you get pinned, partner. Great. Good partnering out there. Fucking, oh my gosh. Caden Carter and Katana Chance, one of the actual legit teams in this division, lose pretty quickly as well. Like, I thought this was going to be the part of the match where we actually kind of get a match. We actually kind of get a good back and forth between the two teams. No, not really. I mean, you get a keg stand. That's great. That's neat. But, nah, Bailey and Lyra make easy work out of this team, which, great. Again, one of your legit tag teams just losing in a glorified squash match within a gauntlet match. Michin and BFAB, no different. No different there. One little rose plant, and that's it. And then you finally kind of get a match when Alba Fire and Piper Niven come out. But I mean, it was just a foregone conclusion at that point, because they're not going to do heel versus heel at WrestleMania. They're not going to push the secret harvest like that unless it's like a multi-team tag match at Mania. Like, I don't know, man. I know I've been ranting going on and on, but like, this just sucked, man. And like the one saving grace of it, which was the last match. I mean, again, you have the team that's probably gonna win anyways, go over and win anyways. I don't know, man. It sucked. I wasn't a fan of it. There, at least some people looked good. Again, like the last match of it was the highlight of the whole thing. Duh. You go ahead. I'm tagging you in as a tag partner. Your turn. Like, your turn.
Yeah, so first off, this really didn't do anything for me because I already knew who was winning this match before it even started. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the problems when it comes to any promotion. Sometimes you add that little sprinkle of unpredictability to it. Sometimes you could look at something and be like, okay, that's going to happen. I'm not saying that's always a bad thing, but it's like you already had something going on between Lyra and Bailey already with Liv and Raquel, so you kind of thought it was going to head down that direction anyway, because you look at the people that are factored into this. Liv and Raquel is Shayna and Zoe? No. Natty and Maxine? No. Hayden and Katana? No. They're barely on television, unfortunately. Michin and BFAB? No. The Hervis? No. Because it just didn't really make sense just to throw them in there. It's like there has to be some sort of logical sense with the pairing, and Lyra and Bailey were the only ones. And my main issue with this is like, first off, there's no women's mid-card title being defended at WrestleMania because we know the full card outside of Randy Orton's WrestleMania opponent. Yeah. That's the only match you're waiting for. We'll probably find that out next Friday. But none of the women's mid-card titles are being defended. And now we have a tag match with Lyra and Bailey and Liv and Raquel, which I originally thought it was going to be Liv and Raquel against Alexa and Nikki Cross because, I said,
with that?
because it just felt like that. It's like Alexa coming back at the Royal Rumble, big moment. Liv eliminates her. Alexa qualifies to be part of Elimination Chamber. Liv eliminates her again. So it's almost like they were like really playing it out where it's like, okay, Liv and Raquel are going to get their titles back, which they did. And they were going to go up against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross at WrestleMania. I thought that was fine. And obviously early in the year, we thought we were going to get Lyra and Becky. We don't know when Becky's coming back. She'll come back whenever. It's all up to her, really. But you could have done the Lyra and Bailey thing at WrestleMania. You didn't have to have it on Monday. You could have had that great match at WrestleMania. So it's like, I don't really know what they're going to do with this, because one of my biggest worries with this is the fact that you have Lyra involved in a match with Bailey, and she's a champion, and then she's going up against Liv and Raquel, which I feel like are not losing those titles at WrestleMania so soon, especially with the kind of credibility that Liv has now, since she's really grown her character to really matter in that women's division. I don't see them losing those titles at WrestleMania, so it's like, who takes the pin in that match?
Yeah.
Is it
I
Lyra?
mean, it would have to be Bailey.
It would have to be Bailey. Yeah, it would have to be Bailey.
You know,
And the only thing I can
and I
really
mean,
see
yeah.
coming out of this that would make it somewhat interesting, and I noticed this is been something some people have been talking about. My friend Billy at work brought this up as well. When it comes to Bailey's character, because a lot of people have noticed that like Bailey hasn't really, and it's not me saying this, but I can see where people are coming from. Bailey hasn't really felt like Bailey, if that makes any sense. And a lot of people are thinking, oh, what if you do something where it's like because you could have easily digged into something with how she felt when she lost that match to Lyra. Maybe you could do something down the line where she has a certain character change and she turns heel again, and then she goes up against Lyra, and then you could do something out of that, make it a little more interesting or whatever. But it's like I don't really care for this match because it's like it just seems like it's just lumped together. It just seems really random.
That's all it is.
Because the cards were there. You could have easily slotted in certain matches that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And you're making a big deal about these mid-card titles and they're not on WrestleMania. Chelsea Green's not even defending her United States Championship on that SmackDown before Mania, which I thought
they were. It's a 6-woman tag now.
So it's like I don't know what's going on here, because that's a big moment. Like, women finally getting mid-card titles. AEW has it already, and other companies have it too, but WWE's never had that. And they made it so big when it came to those video packages, tournaments, everything. The whole celebration behind it, Lyra and Chelsea, making history, winning those titles for the very first time, and they're not defended at Mania. Why?
Yeah. Like, especially the first Mania that they could be on there.
Yeah.
The first one. Literally, you're a company that thrives on making history. You could have had history literally right there.
Yeah, more eyes on it too.
Not to.
That would be the biggest stage for. I would have to say for Lyra, because she's a lot younger than Chelsea. Chelsea's probably used to that atmosphere by now. But like somebody like Lyra's case, being in, well, actually no, technically this is going to be her first time being in front of like a huge crowd like that. But it's like having her defend that title at WrestleMania in front of like a big crowd like that would have been a really special moment. But it's like I don't really know. I don't really know what to think. It's like we obviously know Liv and Raquel's going to retain in this match. The safest bet would be for Bailey to, take the pin here. But what do you really do after that? Like, what's next for Lyra and Bailey? Because you can't really even stem off of that and be like, oh, well, there's a number one contender for Lyra's title after that. There isn't. And we don't know who Bailey's button heads with after that either. Bailey's involved with Lyra right now. Roxanne's not factored into anything anymore. I know one of the people in our comments in the chat mentioned what happened to the whole Roxanne and Bailey storyline. It seems like they just moved past it. Nothing's happening with it at Stand and Deliver. Nothing's happening with it at WrestleMania. I thought they were going to lead into that because I do remember in an interview Bailey wanted to give Roxanne like her WrestleMania match, but that doesn't seem like that's in the cards anymore. So I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's just so weird how we're getting there, and what they're doing and all that. But man, I don't know.
They could have even done a triple threat match. As much as I hate,
they could have.
As much as I hate to say it, because obviously I express myself how I feel about multi-person matches, but they could have even done Bailey, Lyra, and Roxanne for that IC title at WrestleMania. Easily done something like that.
They easily could have. But they chose not to. And this was like our first time seeing Roxanne in a while too. And we'll dive into that more later. Later. But it just, again, we know you can do better. You just choose not to do better, And I mean, it would have been fine if you had, I don't know, maybe Stand and Deliver could have had something with the women's tag titles. You could have done something with like that. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been neat. Or have an NXT team maybe win this gauntlet match. That would have been cool if you're going to have them. But no, you're not. So, irks me, man. It irks me. But hey, let's talk about something that was a little bit more positive. So, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, they're having a match at WrestleMania, which we actually find out tonight it's going to be this Las Vegas street fight, which, yes, yes, you're adding a stipulation to a match. Good. I actually like this. It adds a little bit more to this match. Tonight we got a little bit more added for their feud and all that. Um, I'm glad this is a street fight. I think
Yeah, me
I think
too.
these two can work really well with a stipulation like that. And I mean, this is one that could also go 50-50. I'm kind of leaning more towards Drew because I think he needs a big win right
Yeah, I
now.
believe he's taking it.
Um, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so like they're supposed to have a face to face tonight. And Damien, as he's walking out there, out comes Drew McIntyre, beats down Damian Priest, and they usher Damian Priest back into the back. And at first, I'm going to say this: I'm glad they didn't just leave it there. There was a part of me that was kind of scared that they would, but I'm
Mm.
glad. I'm glad they weren't. But yeah, Drew basically gets on the mic and he's just like, "Oh, I'm still telling the truth. My actions are justified," and basically saying, Priest, if you want to live forever, that's fine because I'm going to give you the beating of a lifetime. Um, and he is 100% cleared. He took his little eye patch off, so he is all good to go. And yeah, he's not only is he 100% cleared, but Damian Priest is about to be 100% screwed at WrestleMania, and that summons Damian Priest back out. They have a big old fight. Drew does a future shock DDT on the steps that kind of hurts him, but I mean, he loves pain so much, so he just absorbs it. Uh, I like this segment. It was enough to kind of like, Drew gets a little bit of a comeback from last week being put through a car and all that. Uh, Again, we find out that this is going to be a street fight, which good. Again, another match that could use a stipulation. So I'm glad they gave it to this one, so that way it kind of builds more intrigue with it. But yeah. Also, Drew just he has this obsession with taking other people's jewelry because like he took Punk's bracelet that's fan made for him and all that, and tonight he took like Damian Priest's chain that he was wearing. I'm like, dude, go to Walmart and get your own like $10 souvenir necklace or whatever if you're that desperate for bling. Like,
Mm.
okay, cool. Whatever. Again, I did think this was a good segment to go with their match coming at WrestleMania. But what do you think of this one?
I thought it was a good match. It pretty much did what it needed to do to really show the tension in between both of these guys. And
Hmm.
I'm happy it's a street fight because you look at these kind of guys, you look at how they wrestle, you look at all the hatred that they have for each other, especially stemming from, where the whole story began between both of these guys last year at WrestleMania and looking what happened throughout that year to really lead up to this. And look what happened at the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber. You always having Damian Priest always getting the edge over Drew. So it's like I like how this is a street fight because this could be one of those matches that could be, one of those takeaways in the show. Because these guys are really
Yeah.
good wrestlers. They know how to really draw you in when it comes to look at the match that Damian Priest had with Finn Balor before he moved up until SmackDown. That was a really good street fight. That was a really good send off from
Yeah.
Raw to SmackDown for Damian Priest to really put a stamp on that feud between him and Finn at that time. That was the perfect way to really wrap everything together. And I have really good faith in these guys that they're going to deliver. And I like it. I'm super.
Hmm.
I am excited for this. I will say that this is
Yeah.
gonna.
Like
Yeah,
I'm more excited. I'm just as more excited as I was last week with the whole car spot.
definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, just a good segment. A good segment overall. No other notes beyond that. So yeah, we'll just move on. Oh, we're gonna move on to probably match of the night here with Rey Fenix taking on Berto. Again, awesome, awesome match with these two, kind of showcasing not only how good Rey Fenix is, but also reminding people just how good Berto is. And because I was actually I was watching SmackDown with Vash tonight for a little bit, and I told him, I was just like, I remember when Berto came onto the main roster, like he was all smiley, baby face with his little dimples and all that. But I mean, he was a good talent. It's just lately they haven't really showcased him, or he's been more focused on the tag team division, which it's fine. You're part of that division, but yeah, I thought these two really brought it tonight. I think you know Rey Fenix, he still has a lot to prove when it comes to like being on the WWE roster and in front of this crowd and all that. But I mean, I think he's doing a good job with it. He's
Oh yeah.
really, putting his A game into it. You could tell the man wants to and loves to be there. And yeah, again, I just thought this was a really good match. Um, Again, both guys just doing all this high flying offense and all that. There was oh shoot, what was it? There was a couple of times where like with these kicks that Rey Fenix does just off the ropes, like as a springboard and all that. They just look so good. His form is immaculate whenever he's doing like moves like that and everything. Yeah, I mean it ends after Rey Fenix does the oh, what did they call it again? The Mexican Muscle Buster. That's what it was. So
Yeah.
that is a very cool move. I will say that it's very cool. But yeah, the match ends. Santos and Angel Garza come out, and Santos is congratulating Rey Fenix. He's trying to get Berto up to kind of be a good sport, shake Rey Fenix's hand and all that. And I mean, Berto doesn't want anything to do with it, but Santos still shakes Rey Fenix's hand regardless. Do you think? Because I'm of two minds with this.
Hmm.
Do you think this could either be a face turn for Escobar, or could it just be something where he's trying to like weasel his way into the mind of Rey Fenix and try to corrupt him to joining him and all that?
I feel like that's what it is because
Mm-hmm.
it really seems like he's just trying to put himself in a situation where he can move ahead of everybody. I feel like that's why he's really playing that whole nice guy card. That's probably why you had Andrade involved in that backstage segment to really
Mm-hmm.
breathe some fresh air into Berto's head so he has a better grasp of everything that's going on. Because that's why I mentioned in the chat where it's like, oh, does it look like Andrade, has some sort of creative direction? Like, is it going to be one of those things where it's like Andrade is going to, finally get to Berto and really have him come to an understanding of like what's really going on? Because you even see him like towards the end of the match with Rey Fenix, which again, what you said it well, it was a great match. It's kind of hard to have a bad match with Rey Fenix and Berto, and you really have to try
Yeah.
hard to do that. But it's like you look at how they concluded the match, Santos like, hey, go up there, shake his hand, do this, do that. That just seems like typical, mind games where you're getting to someone's head. But you could tell that, they weren't really into it, and they, just shook his hand really quick, if you could really call it that.
Yeah.
And then they just
Well,
went to
yeah,
the
he
backstage
basically
right
just like
away.
slapped his hand away.
Yeah.
He
And
was
then
just like, whatever.
yeah, and then they went backstage right away, and he was just sitting there, just pondering with like all of these different kinds
Yeah.
of thoughts going through his head. That's why, to me, when I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, it doesn't really seem like he really wants to be here, or he's just really stuck. He doesn't know where to go. So that's why it makes me feel like Andrade's gonna come in.
Mhm.
He's going to really help him and his buddy really understand what's going on. And I feel like if anything, that would be perfect for Andrade to have like a little rhythm on SmackDown, have a little faction going. And then, Santos can do, whatever they have planned for them. I don't really have much thoughts on that now, but I feel like that's
Yeah.
probably the best bet, really, especially for Andrade's case, have him with those guys. And then have them potentially do something a little more with
Yeah.
them so it would benefit 3 of those guys, and then maybe it potentially leads into a program with Rey Fenix and Andrade, which would be really cool to see because they did have some history, if I do recall, on AEW television. So it's like
Yeah.
that would be really nice to see. Like I'm definitely like on board with this when it comes to that exact route, if that is the plan. Because one of the things we like about post Mania, new stories, new
Mhm.
people coming up from NXT, or people returning, or people signing with the company. And it just opens up the door for the next chapter to really build up into SummerSlam, the Survivor Series,
Yeah.
and then the next year heading into the Rumble again. So I'm hoping that's what we're going with this, because I feel like it would be
Yeah.
really interesting, and it just puts out a Phoenix in a pretty interesting story too.
Yeah. And I mean, as much as I do like, starting to build or plant seeds for future storylines and all that stuff, there's also a part of me that's just like, can we just kind of focus on WrestleMania right now? Like,
Well, I get
I
that,
mean,
but it's
this,
like with these guys, they're not
yeah,
really involved with
exactly. Yeah.
Mania, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they'll be in the Andre the Giant Battle
Yeah,
Royal, so
yeah,
there's
probably,
at
yeah.
least that. So
Whatever you
maybe
call that
Andrade
thing
is going to win that.
nowadays.
Like,
Right.
I don't know who else can win that off the top of my head.
There's a couple people. There's only, I guess you could throw him in there. The only other person I was really thinking of is Mello. But even then,
Yeah,
I don't really know
it'll
what
give
they're
him
doing
something.
with him.
Yeah. Well, if our tag team is anything to do with that, um, oh, I didn't even. Yeah, that could go in our quickfire segments, our tag team division, because they didn't do any bullshit tonight. Um, yeah, I mean, again, we got some decent setup going forward with like Escobar. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna Is he gonna turn face? Is he gonna stay heel? Are Berto and Angel gonna stick with him? Are they gonna go with Andrade? Which, I mean, in that case, is Andrade gonna become a heel now, or is all
I would,
three of them just gonna become faces? Like,
I would like a heel Andrade. I feel like he fits that bill really
I
well.
do too.
He has that whole like mafia boss kind of look to him.
Yeah,
He could really get shit together.
almost. Yeah. Almost a little better than current Escobar. And notice I said current Escobar because
Yeah.
Escobar can be a good mafia boss.
See,
Just you need to
what I
let him.
will say is if they do head down
Mhm.
this direction of Andrade, because I like, the only reason why I mentioned that I'm okay with this is because this is like a little side project that we could dig our teeth into after WrestleMania. Because you got to keep in mind, you
Yeah.
got Aleister Black coming up on that post Mania SmackDown. Doesn't really make sense to really
Yeah.
throw him on the fucking show before it. Why the hell would you do that? But it's like you have him there. You got this little thing you're gonna get with Santos Escobar when he turned heel. I'm kind of hoping we get that off Andrade, because he definitely needs something to really benefit his character,
Yeah.
especially
No.
since he returned to WWE, because he hasn't really done anything outside of the mellow matches to really put him on the map.
Yeah. Which they just walked away from.
Yeah.
They kind of had their final match with it, but that ended the way it did, and they never went back to it. So I don't know, man. But another thing that happened tonight. So, oh, what a string of events that happened to get this match going.
Hmm.
So, we had Tiffany Stratton taking on Roxanne Perez tonight. Uh, a few things going on with this. First of all, we get this video started going around of Charlotte attacking Tiffany in the parking lot. And it was revealed to us that, management told Charlotte that she had to go home for the rest of the week. Which, if you've ever watched wrestling, you know for a damn fact that Charlotte did not go home. She was still in the arena. She was still going to do something. And guess what happened? She did still do something. But that's later on in the night. Because after, all that footage goes around, we cut back, to backstage later on tonight, and Roxanne Perez is here. Why is she here? Well, she has nothing to do for Stand and Deliver. She has nothing to do for Mania, but she's up there anyways to kind of be like, hey, I was, standout of the Royal Rumble. I almost won the damn thing. I almost survived coast to coast almost. I should get some sort of showcase, which
There you
Roxanne should. She's really good. But she's here on SmackDown. She wants a match. She wants something to kind of sink her own teeth into. And she kind of starts bad mouthing like Tiffy, and almost in another way, she was kind of bad mouthing Charlotte as well, which commentary tonight, like another side note too, they were really harping on Charlotte being the unprofessional one recently, which kind of interesting that you're having your commentary kind of bury Charlotte like this. And I use the term bury very lightly, obviously, but like, I mean, in a way, they kind of were by constantly calling her unprofessional and all that. Um, yeah, so like Roxanne wants a match. Out comes Tiffy, who heard some of the insults that Roxanne was throwing at her, and we actually get a match tonight between Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez. So cool, great, awesome. These two have really good chemistry. There was a part of me watching this match, I was like, I really wish this was the WrestleMania match for this title. Kinda wish that, but whatever, I guess. Fine. Roxanne's not going to be doing anything for Mania. That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess. Not really. I don't know. Whatever. But after the match, after a hard-fought victory from Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte comes back. She never left, guys. She's still here. She beats down
Big
Tiffany
surprise.
Stratton, and yeah, I mean, it almost becomes a breakup. I mean, it does pretty much become a break apart brawl, but I kind of I like how Wade Barrett was the one to like kind of calm Charlotte down, be like, "Hey, Charlotte, you need to stop. You need to stop all this." Kind of like adding a little bit of realism to this whole idea of, "Hey, Charlotte is very unprofessional." Duh, duh, duh. Okay, cool. That's the story we're telling. Neat. Um, Again, I thought the match was really good, and we're adding a little bit more with the Charlotte Tiffany stuff. It's just you send her home for the rest of the week, and you think she's actually gonna go home? Come on, man. Come on. We've watched wrestling before, but I mean, again, like nothing like really spectacular from this segment. Just it was good. It was good. What do you think of all this and everything transpiring here?
I mean, I can appreciate what they did when it came to the parking lot segment where it's like Tiffany's getting out of her car, trying to get her bags to head into the show, and then you had Charlotte attack her, trying to bleeding into that whole entire thing, or it's like the segment that they had last week was pretty much them spitting legit venom towards each other because what they said towards each other, especially when Tiffany mentioned the whole divorce with Charlotte, that was in the book. That was pretty much her letting some frustration out. So it's kind of like you have this whole thing here, kind of makes you think that, oh, she really like attacking her, and she gets out of her car before she heads into the event itself, even though you could really see it as like, oh yeah, it's just a part of it. But at the same time, you're blending it between the reality and the show, so it makes it pretty interesting when it comes to that sort of thing. And it's like you said, like this is the kind of thing I wanted to see from Charlotte in a sense when it comes to the organic energy coming off from her. Not like that I gotta read everything by the book and do this and that. Like actually show who she is. Because like the main thing I really wanted with Charlotte was basically it's like, okay, you're the queen. Prove why you're the queen, prove why you're on top and all this. Like pretty much just talk a lot of shit outside of like what we saw. Like we don't want to see you making fun of Tiffany's voice or being rattled by the crowd and stuff like this. Like we've seen what you were capable of doing in the past. That's what we wanted to see. And this is kind of what I wanted to see weeks ago. The fact that it's happening
Mhm.
now, I can't really say it's all that mind blowing, but I'm happy that they're doing a little something with it now. And the match with Tiffany and Roxanne, I mean, I've seen these ladies go at it multiple times in NXT, so I was expecting no different between the both of them. I thought they did a really good job tonight. And
Mhm.
I'm very curious to see how they're going to wrap things up between Charlotte and Tiffany next week when it comes
Yeah.
to like who's going to get the last word, is there going to be another attack, etc. So on, because I'm hoping, like you said, this is the show where we see legit things happen, and so it doesn't feel like a filler episode. It actually feels like it means something.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I think my biggest note here too is just like this is the fire I've been wanting to see from Charlotte. Like this is what I've been wanting to see. Like this like she gave this look at the end of it. At the end of this segment. And like I could tell the fire was in there cuz like this whole time my biggest complaint was Charlotte, and I know a lot of people have felt this way too during this build. It just feels like Charlotte just doesn't give a shit about all this. It feels like she doesn't want to care or be there. She's just there for the check, like things like that. And like that could be right or wrong. I don't know. Like again, mindsets can change with time and all that. But like tonight gave me that feeling again that Charlotte was back. Like that look was the queen. That was Charlotte out there tonight. I don't know what this other caricature was the past couple weeks, but it wasn't Charlotte. It was not. Where again, this week was that. Like I saw the intensity in her eyes. I got that feeling again. I'm like, yeah, girl. All right, yeah, you could have a good match. You can do good things on the mic. Just care about it. Give a shit about it. And if you
Yeah.
do, well, you're not making a good impression that you do think it's good. I don't know, but like, yeah, I'm just glad there's a little bit of that feeling going into Mania with this match. Because that's the other thing. Charlotte freaking won the Royal Rumble, so you should probably do a little bit more to like kind of big that kind of winner up too. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. Hopefully we get a better segment, like you said, next week. I mean, maybe on the mic, maybe another beatdown. I don't know what they're gonna do, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's something even more to kind of make us feel more invested. Because I did notice some people did feel more invested after this segment, and even after like last Friday's segment as well. Like after you broke it up in thirds and all that, like a lot of people liked it. So yeah. Um, Hey, I'm glad you brought up the U.S. title picture on the women's side, because you want to know what we're doing with that build? Well, don't worry. Zelina's not going to get a one-on-one title match. She's going to get a one-on-one uh, normal match against Chelsea, which ends in a count out because Chelsea beats down Zelina so bad that like after she throws her back into the ring, before Tiffany can get not Tiffany, before Chelsea can get into the ring, ref calls the 10 count, and that's the match. And you could tell the whole arena was so confused on what happened, because like I mean, on one hand I can applaud like a creative finish like this, because this was somewhat creative where, again, Chelsea had beaten down Zelina. She wasn't paying attention to the count because she had thrown her back in. And, both competitors kind of have to be in for the count to fully be broken and all that, unless the other one ends up coming back out into the ring. But yeah, everybody in the arena was just so confused on, like, wait, this was the end of the match? What? That was weird. Okay. All right, fine. Whatever, I guess. Like, it was weird. It was kind of awkward too, because like Zelina's walking back, she's like, I won." It's just like, yeah, you did, but at what cost? Because I don't know, I don't know. This didn't need to happen. This really didn't need to happen. Because now next week we have a 6-woman tag instead of a title match. Like, we're building up for Zelina versus Chelsea Green for the U.S. title, for the actual physical title. We're not getting it next week because we're getting a freaking 6-woman tag with Zelina tagging with Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, who should be going after the tag team titles, but they're not. Like, this segment sucked. This segment was not good. Again, I can applaud like a creative finish at least, but because they also kind of try to tie in commentary, like Joe Tessitore apparently was distracting Chelsea or whatever. So like you can at least play upon that. Again, I can kind of see a decent creative with it, but just an execution, it sucked. Sucked. It was bad. Confusing with a lot of people too. What you think of this?
I don't really have anything to say about this, honestly. Like,
Uh,
I mean, it was like a nothing match because it's like,
exactly.
because when I first saw this match, I actually thought it was a championship match, but then I remembered that Zelina never beat Piper Niven, so then I was like, okay, it's not that. But I feel like we're
Yeah.
running into the same pattern we did with Chelsea Green and Meech, where it's like we're having a whole bunch of these matches and they're not really going anywhere. Because now, he said, came to a no contest, and then you ended up having a 6-woman tag match with Zelina Vega, and she wasn't even associating, at least in the top of my head, with KC2 at all. And they're just
Yeah.
throwing into this match with Chelsea Green and the Hervers. I mean, I just don't care. I mean, what do you really gain from this? Oh, she wins this match and then she gets the title shot again and then she wins or whatever. Like, I kind of felt like this should have been one of those things where it's like, I actually kind of wish I never understood it actually why Zelina Vega lost that match against Piper Niven. You know, looking back at it.
Yeah. I don't know. And because she just gets this match anyways with Chelsea, even
Yeah.
though it's not for a title. I mean, we know wrestling 10 at least 102, where it's just like, oh, a champion in a non-title match, they probably gonna lose that one to set up the title match part,
Yeah.
and that's basically what this segment was. And I mean, it was a way to kind of make sure that Chelsea didn't get pinned yet, I guess. But I mean, even then, you go back to the freaking like what tournament was it where she was pinned or she was involved in?
Oh yeah, the tournament for the chamber.
For the elimination chamber qualifier.
Naomi pinned her, and that never went anywhere.
Yeah, so the fuck, the fuck, man. Like,
It,
at least have her go for the title. And I mean, that could have added to the Jade Naomi thing, which I mean, I know that doesn't need anything added, but hey, you should probably showcase your newly crowned women's singles titles. Even if it's just one of them, you should probably, showcase that in a decent match. But no, I guess that's too hard for us to do at
no,
WrestleMania season.
but even looking back at
know?
it now, even if Zelina were to win tonight, I don't know if they would have Chelsea lose 2 matches in a row. Because then I would think
Yeah.
you probably end up losing next week. So I kind of wish they just stuck with the pattern they had before, where you went through the henchwoman, and then you ended up having her get another shot at Chelsea and then wins. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing with this.
I don't know either. Because either way, it's not happening in Mania.
No.
It's happening on our pre-show SmackDown. So cool.
That's pretty much the
Neat.
pre-show now.
Yeah.
The matches.
But yeah, we're gonna move on to our quickfire segments because these last two things were just, quick and easy and all that. We had a cool video package with Naomi and Jade just kind of pushing their thing forward, which again, really great build that we're having with those two. Dare I say, probably the best women's feud going into Mania. As convoluted as the women's world title picture is, and however many missteps the WWE Women's Championship has, this one's been more consistent. It's had a lot of heat behind it, and honestly, probably one of the ones I'm looking forward to watching at Mania because I'm curious how this is gonna go. with the two. And I mean, I'm assuming Jade's going to be going over, but I mean, even Naomi, just with this new attitude and all that, like, I really dig it. She's really like diving into like this heel character, and I love every aspect of it, you know? Uh, but what do you think of this quick little video package we got with these two?
I I both of them have been doing really good when it comes to
Yeah.
their feud. Honestly, like this would probably have to be something that I could say, you know, even if there isn't anything on the line. I feel like this feud is benefiting both of them very well, especially in Naomi's case when it comes to this new character change. I feel like that's doing wonders for her, and I'm really glad because I wanted her to really find her footing when she came back to WWE last year. Now she's finally found her footing, and I feel like this could be a really good year for her, and I'm wishing nothing but the best for her. And of course, you know, Jade to really pull something out here. Like I'm really hoping at WrestleMania the both of them push each other to the limit and, you know, really uh do something really good. Something really good comes out of this. I really did like this.
Hopefully. Hopefully. And then our last little segment here, the tag team division. I mean, they're not gonna have any promos with each other. Motor City Machine Guns and Street Profits aren't even gonna interact before next week. So great,
Nope.
cool, I guess.
Nope.
But this is just basically like a thing of two parts. There's one where DIY's in the back, kind of complaining about last week's shenanigans happening during their number one contenders match. Pretty Deadly are there, just kind of listening in on them talking, but it's a no boys from them, so they walk away, and then Motor City Machine Guns just they have this thing where no matter what's going on, they just go up to DIY in some sort of staircase or some sort of like crisis that they're in and just kind of poke fun at them until they lose the next match
Hmm.
and do their back and forth and all that. Like it's very, very interesting how we're doing like Motor City Machine Guns and DIY right now. Which okay, cool. We're doing like some sort of antagonist thing. All right, whatever. And then the Street Profits cross paths with Mellow Don't Miz because they are awesome. Um, yeah, Miz basically just wants the tag titles again. Carmelo Hayes is desperate to get on TV and do anything in order to win. Um, yeah, I mean, I have nothing more of note to say with those two. I mean, I guess it's cool that we're building up a tag team on like the women's side with like Melo Dome Miz. That's cool, neat. I don't know. Didn't really do much for me wanting to watch the title match at SmackDown next week because they didn't interact at all. The champions or the challengers. Yeah, great tag team stuff, guys. Awesome. Um, yeah, I mean that was SmackDown. That was SmackDown. That was the most filler episode of SmackDown. Like this was like Naruto, like after his battle with Sasuke in part one, where we got like what, like 80 something weeks of filler. Like that's what this felt like. This felt like 85 filler episodes just lumped into 3 hours. Like some advancement to stories, cool. You had one really good match and a couple other matches that were like, okay, cool, neat. Um, yeah, it's that syndrome, I guess, again, where it's like the week before the go home week is kind of weak compared to the go home week. But even then, like with this WrestleMania build, I'm I mean, I'm excited to watch it, yeah, but like I'm not as excited as I usually am when it comes to Mania. And it kind of sucks because I love WrestleMania. I really adore it. You know, it is one of the biggest events of the year. That's why they make a whole weekend out of it, almost a whole week about it, depending on the promotion and where they're at and all that. Um, but yeah, did you have any final thoughts on SmackDown tonight?
All I can really say is I'm hoping Raw in SmackDown could hit a home run for their go home shows. WrestleMania, because I feel like the both of them really need it to capitalize on what they're doing left. Because the way you see it structured now, you got the main event for night one handling Raw, and then you're going to give that moment to Cody and Cena to close out SmackDown that night, plus all the other stories involved within both shows. So I'm just really hoping they could pull something out of us that could really be like, okay, I can't wait to see. Not saying that we don't want to see it now, but I'm really hoping that they hit the nail in the coffin where it's like, okay, this was good stuff. Like that's all I'm really hoping here. I mean, like the main pullaways I really want to see is like what Randy Orton is doing at Mania. Because I thought we were gonna get that tonight. We didn't. So more than likely gonna get that on that following SmackDown. Cody and Cena, obviously. Mainly a lot of the things, it's just what happens next week is what I'm looking forward to. Like, I feel like I'm ready just to move on from this show and then see what we get on Raw and SmackDown and Tuesday for me.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I'm ready to move on from everything, and hopefully you guys are ready to move on as well. Cause that was our show tonight. Yeah, again, kind of just a fillery episode of SmackDown. It happens, you know. There's always gonna be shows like this that end up this way and all that. But again, that's our show tonight on the wonderful Friday night, going into Saturday morning now. So yeah, cool, awesome. Well, again, I'm gonna take some time right now, guys, to thank you for taking time out of your day, no matter when you're listening or watching this podcast, morning, afternoon, or night. Doesn't matter, because you took time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, we do have a bunch of social media accounts. Of course, our parent company of Animal We Studios there. We've got Vashti Legend, we got Watkins MW, you got Drop This Box, and you got Weebs of the Ring, like at Weebs of the Ring. But it's also a hashtag, and that hashtag can be used, to talk to us about wrestling, anime, manga, video games, comics, whatever have you. We'll help talk about with you. We'll connect all the pieces together, and we'll have a grand old time. And yeah, just make sure you use that hashtag, and that's also a great way to kind of give us feedback too. Because hey, we're nothing without you guys tuning in. We like to up our game as much as possible whenever possible. So, thank you once again for checking us out, and also thanks to our production team for all the hard work that they put in every single day, morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever have you. We're always working, we're always striving to be better and all that. Weaves the Ring is presented by Animal We Studio. Thanks again to everybody involved helping out with the show, and thank you once again for checking us out. And remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody. Sweet dreams, salutations, whatever have you. We'll see you on Monday for Monday Night Raw and our final go home shows for WrestleMania.
See you guys.